Let me tell you up front that believing, we'll see this in verse 29, believing brings blessing. Biblical believing brings blessing. You'll see in verse 30 that biblical believing must go beyond the books. And you'll see in verse 31 that biblical believing builds believers. Let's start and go to verse 29. Here again, seeing where Jesus is, the context being Thomas has just offered us a wonderful example of unbelief being met with the grace of Jesus the Christ and being totally transformed and going all in because he's encountered Christ. And listen to what Jesus says now, not just to Thomas, but to you and me. Jesus said to Thomas, "Have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen me and yet still believe." Jesus says that believing brings blessing. Let me ask you a couple of rhetorical questions. Culturally, have you ever heard somebody say, well, seeing is believing? Well, let me ask you, true or false? Seeing is believing. False. Seeing is not believing. I bring to your attention simple things like optical illusions, photoshopping a photograph. Seeing is not believing. Let me take you into the Bible. God's word said that you and I are to be very careful because Satan can come down disguised as an angel of light. Seeing is not believing. Secondly, you have to see in order to believe. You can't believe something if you've not seen it. True or false? False. Jesus says here, blessed are those who will believe who have not seen. You can believe in that which you have not seen. The truth of the matter is that's the very definition of faith. Most of the people who jump out of airplanes do not see the parachute work right before they jump out. You believe what you do not see, and you call that faith. The question is, in whom or what have you placed your faith? I've entitled our message this morning, What and Why Do You Believe? What and why do you believe? This is the question that underscores these three verses. Third question, is it true that being blessed means you'll be on easy street? Blessing means easy street, right? All you have to do is listen to Joel Osteen. All you have to do is listen to some of the prosperity pimps behind their pulpits. False. Blessing does not bring easy street. Blessing brings the favor of God and the outcome that is in line with His will for your life. And I say to you, many a martyr has been blessed. You see, to understand what blessing God promises is to force us to go into God's Word and get our definitions from Him. And I say to you on the front side, believing looks very different biblically than what many in the world have been told that it means. Sadly, even those who have spent significant amounts of time in churches. You see, and we'll note this before we're done, there are many, and have been from the very beginning, who have perverted God's word, have perverted God's promises. What do you believe? Why do you believe it? Do you believe the content, all of it, of God's word? Do you believe it because it's God's word? Or do you serve as editor-in-chief and filter out only that which you'll accept because it matches up with what you like or how you live? You see, God and His word are to be the authorities in our lives. And believing biblically is to embrace the call to come under the authority of God and His word. Thankfully,